feel like we are connected to everything. Anything that happens in this world, there's a root that goes back to Africa. So that's why, like, when I think of the word culture, I kind of cringe at it sometimes because people don't know the roots that it gets to, like, where we all kind of come from, and some people don't want to accept that one big concept that life started in Africa.
It's such an intermingling of the word because you could say hip hop culture, right? And hip hop culture doesn't have to just pertain to Black people, right? I mean, you got everybody can be a part of hip hop culture. I mean white folks, Asian, Latino. Excuse me. Isn't every what? Why are you're saying no to that?
Yeah,
What?
because
Hey, everyone. Let's start healing. I'm Adrianne Murchison, and welcome to another episode of the Let's Start Healing podcast. And this is a special one. I am in Buffalo, New York, my hometown. I live in Atlanta, but I've been visiting all week, and it's just been a great opportunity for me to collaborate with my cousin, Charles Gilbert, who is also a podcaster. He actually is a podcast producer of many shows. His most recent podcast is In the Meantime. Charles and I are from two different generations, and I really wanted to have a conversation on the culture. In fact, this episode is called For the Culture. And I wanted us to just dive into that word and talk about what it means to him, how does he interpret that word, and how do I interpret that word. And it's kind of interesting. So have a listen. I'm not going to get into too much more, but this is a special conversation, and he and I both agree it's just one in a series. It is the first in the series because we're going to be talking about this some more. So let's start healing. Hey, Charles.
what's going on?
I'm in Buffalo with you.
Welcome home.
Thank you. I'm in my hometown, and we're each doing this podcast we're doing this episode for each of our podcasts.
Yes, it's a joint venture.
It's a joint venture, and I want to put up a fist pump to my nephew, Russell, and call this episode For the Culture.
See, this is how, I swear to you, Russ can attest to this. Every time we talk, something happens in our conversation where we both tell each other, like, we got to quit because there's no reason why we are so in sync.
Me and you?
All three of us. All three of us is in sync because if you look right there before you even got here, that was the name I already put in there. I already put that name in there.
It's the perfect name. It's the perfect name.
And like with me and him, it's always something. Like, we could be sitting there talking, and then, like, for example, we was talking about the playoffs, and we were talking about, I think it was Devin Booker.
Yeah.
And we were both like, we both had the exact same message. And he was like, bruh, we got to stop this. And I'm like, dude, like, we're here.
Yes.
But I think that's just the relationship that the three of us have.
Yeah.
That we're so like
close,
tight that we think on one brain.
That's so wild. That's so wild. Well, so what did you think when I said once you realized I wanted to talk about this topic?
It's definitely something that I may be a little different in regards to the meaning of it.
I expect that.
Because there's so, like, I'm a it's like I cringe when I hear it sometimes.
Do you really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Just because, like, I know, in my opinion, what that word to me means, but I also know the impact of just how our culture is.
So, okay, you know the impact of what the word means. Please explain that. And then you said two things just now, and I just want to know what they both.
So when I talk about the
represent.
impact of it, it's just we see what our impact has, not just on this country, but across the world.
And when you say our, who do you mean?
The Black culture.
The entire Black culture, or what do you mean?
Okay.
I'm asking you that for a reason.
The hip hop culture. Let me
See
say
there, see there, see there.
the hip hop culture. You know, I feel like that is what a lot of people identify the Black community with. They identify the Black community with hip hop.
So something comes up in me that makes me feel sad when you explain, and this is why I wanted to do this podcast, because I feel excluded when you, like you just said, the Black community, right? You said the Black community, and then I went further, and then you said the hip hop culture.
Got you.
Okay?
Yeah.
Because the Black community, the word to me, it represents the entire Black race as I see it, which is not, the way I see it is not the truth. You know what I mean? But to me, when I think Black community, I think culture, Black culture, I think the Black community. So I think all ages and everything. But you just said it's basically your generation.
I was about to say it's
Yeah.
my generation, you know, because I feel like, and I've tried to study like previous generations. And I know that my generation took from the past, you know, and made it what we deem like hip hop, or what we deem as what is the culture now. So we took pieces from the past and just made it kind of our own, even though it already is our own, but we made it more for us to understand or relate to, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, I just don't understand why it has to be so thought of in such a, I don't know, exclusive way. Like you can have pride in that. You can have pride in, like, look at the power and the impact that we have had on the world. You know, like my age group. Look at the power that we have. But I don't know. It just really bothers me. It bugs me because it's almost like a you don't matter.
I was about to say,
You know?
do you feel like it's just like they what y'all did in the past doesn't have a meaning to us, type of thing?
And I'm not even, yes, but not only the past, but now. It's like when people want to talk about age. Like I have this thing about age where I am starting to take notice of how many times people want to say I'm old or something, you know, related to that in the course of a week. You know, so because I feel like, you know, that's you. If you feel old, that's fine. You know, but don't put that on me because I'm still living.
Yeah.
So it's not about only like my age group or my parents' age group, or, you know, you and your mom and I are in the same general age group. So it's not as far as only what we did in the past, but, you know, we're still living life.
Yeah.
We're still living life. We still have an impact on the world.
Yeah.
So it's not just about y'all.
But see, I think back with you saying that, you know, I think back to last year and with all the protests and everything. And I remember speaking about it on Views. I remember speaking about it. I remember bringing up a clip that I seen of literally 3 generations. It was an older black man that went through it during the peak that before this time.
Yeah.
And then you had someone that was roughly around my age, like in his 30s, and then you had a 16-year-old.
Uh-huh.
And the older man was yelling at the 30-year-old, like, yo, like, I'm tired of protesting. Like, we did this back in the 60s. We did this back in the 70s. And it's still happening.
Mm-hmm.
And then the 30-year-old was like, but we are protesting because we are trying to make sure that this 16-year-old
Yeah.
lives.
Mm-hmm.
And then he went to the 16-year-old and said, it's your generation that has to be the ones that's going to make the change because we're tired, you know? And that makes me think of similar to what you're talking about, you know, about the differences in the ages. And that's kind of why I say, like, we take what y'all did, what the generation before us did, and try to tweak it to fit what we're trying to do.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why, like, he told the 16-year-old, y'all have to do something different because nothing's getting fixed.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's why they may feel like you may get that impression, like they may just disregard it because they may look at it in a sense of, well, what y'all did in the past didn't change nothing. So let's not in a sense let's forget it, but let's figure out what we can do differently to.
You're saying it didn't change anything as far as black men and women being killed.
Yeah.
But that's what you mean.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Because don't say it didn't change anything.
No, it did. But I'm just saying,
like,
if you noticed the shift now that we're seeing, it's all being done by younger people. Like,
and that's the way it's always been.
Right. But I think now you're starting to see, like, the impact, like, and maybe it's also just the times that we're in where social media really has that pull.
You know what? I don't know. I guess maybe because I'm here and but I'm here and I'm thinking about, like, my dad, who was a cop, he wasn't the first black cop on the Buffalo Police Department, but he was one of the first, you know, and it was Butch, you know, who reminded me one time when I was talking to him, I was writing something on black policemen, and who was like, you know, your dad was one of the pioneers, you know, on the police force, you know, and so, and my mom, you know, she fought discrimination, you know, in working for the federal government, you know, right here, and that played a role in me. We were just talking last night, which was why I overslept this morning. But we were talking about just the racism. You know, I grew up lived on Winslow till I was 9, moved out to West Seneca, and I'm talking to friends from school who are still scarred by the racism that we experienced.
Yeah.
We're still talking about it. We are like X number of years old, and we're still talking about the stuff that we experienced. You know, so we were fighting. You know, our parents. Somebody called me the N-word. I was punching them. You know, because my parents were out there, you know, fighting discrimination.
Right.
My brothers were getting into fights in high school. So I'm walking through school, somebody calling me the N-word, I'm punching you.
Right.
You know, I mean, they had an impact on me, you know, and so, you know, y'all didn't make this stuff up, and neither did my parents didn't make this stuff up, is all I'm saying.
Yeah, and I think that, like, when you saying, like, how you handled that situation, it'll be different from somebody from, like, my generation or the generation after me, you know, because I know people that have told me that they've been called that, but they didn't react in a I'm going to attack you mode. Like I'm gonna like beat you for it. I mean, I've been called it, but I didn't react the way I knew I wanted to react because I think of the outcomes before I actually do anything.
Yeah.
So I know me, and I know that if I do anything, I'm blacking out. And my mom
you
has
know
made
the
it,
impact of it.
My mom has made it real crystal clear. I ain't bailing you out. Like she's told me all the time. She's like, if you do something, you're not. But I remember like when Khalik was living with Mary Beth and Al out in Williamsville, and hearing the stories that he went through being out there and the problems that he was dealing with.
That had to be a trip for him.
Yeah, and it wasn't just like Al going out there to go figure out what's going on. It's, we a tribe. So it's not just, you're not just getting one. You're getting everybody. So, Butch is out there, Al, Mary Beth, everyone is out there to figure out why is this happening.
Yeah.
And I remember like even he would tell me like we would sometimes when we will get together and we'll have the conversation and he'll tell me about it. And it's kind of like I will sit back and be like, I don't. And I think he got in a few scuffles because it's Khalik and how his parents were Muslim. So you already know that their kind of stances. we going to go to blows and everything. So it was just very, I don't know. Like I feel like a lot of generations handle things differently. Like I said.
Yeah. Well, I'm not saying I would handle the N-word like that now.
Right.
But, I remember living in New York and walking past a man who I think he had to be mentally ill. And he was sitting on a park bench. And I saw him twice on a Saturday morning and later Saturday afternoon. And I'm walking past him and he says, "Nigger." I was just like, what? And but I couldn't have a reaction because I knew he was mentally ill.
Right.
But like I was telling Russell and he was like, "Nah, I don't care if he's mentally ill," And I saw the man again, like about 4:00 in the afternoon and he did it again.
Here's the thing about Russ. And I had the conversation with Assad about it. I said, and the Black Panthers are still active. Like they are still, but it's more like the Cubs. But if the Black Panthers were the way they were back then, now, he would be one.
Yeah.
I already know he would be one. I will probably be one too, but I think we will be two different styles. And this even goes to how I would say it's, in my opinion, I feel like the Black community, you are either Martin or Malcolm. You're one of the two. We take it to the modern day, like now, I look at Black Panther. You're either T'Challa, rest in peace Chadwick, or you're Killmonger. You're one of the two. It's one of those
And so
things.
you're saying he's Killmonger?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I have a little bit of Killmonger in me, but as I started to...
But more Chad. Me too.
I started to realize it was just like, I feel like more...
You're a peacemaker.
Yeah.
So am I.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you said sometimes when you hear the word culture, it makes you cringe.
Yeah.
And that's because what? You think it's misused or what?
Yes. I think that's misused. I think the term, I hate the term woke.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to remember, when did the term come about? And I really
Which
feel
one,
like,
woke or?
yeah, woke. I feel like that came about during the Get Out term. Like when Get Out came out, I feel like a lot of people started using that term. And I'm trying to remember if that word was used in the movie or what. It was the theme music. It was the theme. It was the anthem for Get Out, which was the Childish Gambino "Stay Woke" song. And I think once that started going, everybody was just like, "Stay woke," like, and I'm kind of like, it cringe because it's like, why? Like, you're telling us to stay woke, but I don't really.
Yeah.
Never really got the
Yeah.
understanding of it. But when I think of culture, because then there's so much that goes behind it, because then you have people that misuse it, misrepresent the culture, and then there's cancel culture.
I was just about to say, that term I cannot stand.
You know,
That,
and
like, I can't stand the word politically incorrect. Both of those words, I'm like, what does that mean? I don't know what that means.
with cancel culture, I look at it as it's just a way for people to try to get people out, but then we have a mind span of less than 60 seconds. That's why Instagram, there's stories on Instagram, Snapchat, all that, it is 60 seconds because you go to the next thing. So when you look at cancel culture is only going to be there for like, if we really, 2 months.
What do you mean? Oh, you mean that somebody's quote unquote canceled?
Yeah, they'll waste like 2 months and then that's it. You know, I look at, for example, I mean, he's not in the best position right now, but I look at a guy that me and Russ kind of follow, which is Joe Button, and how when he was getting close to his Spotify deal ending, all of a sudden there was starting to be these rumbles of people trying to cancel him. You know, people started bringing out like things that he's done in the past and bringing up dirty laundry and things like that. And people were trying to get him removed and get him canceled. You know, it's like, I don't know.
So it's like people are hating.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, I remember listening to Michael Eric Dyson talking about it, and he brought up points where it was like, I agree, where he was just like, you can't cancel something. Like, it's the person's still going to be there.
Yeah.
And why would you want to cancel, like, why would you want to cancel another person of color?
And it's denying what is.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, let's just deal with what is. It's like, to me, I feel this way, like somebody like Trump, we needed so we could reveal, you know, all the stuff
How
that
ugly
was
America is.
Yes. I mean, it's ugliness. I don't want to walk around not knowing that this stuff existed.
Right.
You know? So let's deal with it. And so why cancel somebody out? Let's deal with this stuff.
Yeah.
Let's look at it
I think
for what it is.
I think that's what they wanted to do, was deal with it, but I think the way they wanted to deal with it is by erasing and eliminating it.
Exactly. Yeah.
You know, but
yeah.
what can we learn, or if we just eliminate it, just erase it, then someone else is going to do it. Another person is going to come around and do the exact same thing.
Right.
So why don't we take that, learn from it, like try to figure out, okay, what can we do to make sure that this doesn't happen again?
Right.
You know, because I see a lot of the people that's like, such and such is canceled and things like that. And then the reason why they're canceling them is ridiculous. It is. I seen somebody, who's the one that got canceled that I was like, this makes no sense. I think it was it was. I remember I posted something on Facebook with the '90s crushes. So you had Lisa Turtle, Ashley Banks, Kelly Kapowski, what is her name? Not the one from the Cosby Show that kept bumping heads with
Lisa Bonet?
Yes. Mm-hmm. Denise. Mm-hmm. Denise, and then Topanga Lawrence from Boy Meets World. And it was like, and then people was like, yo, I was like, who, like, if you had to pick, who was your 90s crush? Uh-huh. And mine has always been Topanga. Like, I think that she's beautiful and she hasn't changed. Like, she still looks the same. And someone who shall not be named got in the comments and was like, she's canceled. And I'm like, for what? What happened?
Yeah.
And then he's like, oh, like, there was some during the show Boy Meets World, there was a black girl on there, and I guess the black girl had made statements recently saying that, oh, she was treated bad and all this stuff and all this. And I was like, why, in a sense, why bring it up now if it's happened in the past? But then I'm like, I did my search on Twitter and I'm looking for it because when somebody gives me something, I do my research just to see how true this is. And I didn't see nothing. And I'm like, and somebody's like, I don't understand why people are trying to like cancel Topanga. Like, why are you trying to cancel her out? And some people's like, is it because like Topanga still looks the same way that she looked back in the day, and people are just jealous of that? And
some of that stuff is so petty.
It is.
I'm like, really? But in the same point though of cancel, that really comes back to what I was saying, how I feel about like your generation of, you know, the culture. It's like y'all trying to cancel us out. You know,
I wouldn't say that we're trying to cancel.
That's what. No, you know what? It's not fair for me to say that, but that's how I feel. I feel like what? I don't matter anymore. You know, that's what it feels like. It feels like I was saying, Russell sent me a text saying, I have to tell you about that part of the culture when we were talking about trainers, you know, in an episode of All the Smoke.
Yeah.
You know, and he's like, I have to tell you about that part of the culture. And I'm just like,
well,
what?
So because, so if I can, and it's not me speaking on behalf of him, but if I can like kind of try to understand what he's saying, I think it's because we are multi-layer. Like,
we all are multi-layer.
But this portion of like,
are you more multi-layer than any other generation?
No, I'm not saying I'm saying the culture in itself. The black community is multi-layer.
The black community as a whole?
Yes,
or
we're multi-layer.
Okay.
No, we're multi-layer.
Okay.
But then I also think about like when he's talking about like this part of the culture, it's a layer. So there's different layers to the hip hop culture or to this generation. So he may be telling you may not understand or you may not know why this particular trainer he likes.
Yes.
Let me explain why his, like what he does may relate to.
He did explain all of that to me. Yeah. He likes Rico Hines. Yeah. So we know who we're talking about. Okay. He did explain that to me on the phone.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So so when I believe he said that it's like, it's a part of it. There's a certain part, because with our generation.
Yes.
As I just said, multi-layer.
Yeah.
Every part, your generation, multi-layer. This generation right now,
yes,
multi-layer. So there's parts of the generation that you may not understand at the moment. So we have to kind of like explain it to you. Just like there's stuff, well, y'all generation that I may sit there and be like, I don't get this, or I didn't know about this.
Yeah.
So it's kind of just like teaching one another.
Yeah. I think I just needed to get that out. Yeah, special, but you're no more special than anybody else. Like we're all special.
But I think that what we're doing is we're embracing, not say that y'all didn't embrace it, but we're just embracing it in a different way than how y'all did. Like y'all were very like, I mean, y'all had a song that still stands to this time, that is still played. Like literally we played it on Saturday for Juneteenth, which is James Brown, I'm Black and I'm Proud.
Yeah.
Like that, you play that at any event or black function that is celebrating black people, that song's gonna play.
And what's so funny too is Juneteenth is gonna be so funny. So it's gonna be defined as now. Whereas my whole life, I think probably since I was about 7 years old.
Okay, so
celebrating Juneteenth in Buffalo, my first Juneteenth experiences.
And that is something that I brought it up on the old pod that I used to do with Views. And then I didn't realize that so many people were the same way I was, where I didn't know that this was a national thing.
You didn't know,
that Juneteenth was a national thing.
I didn't either until I left town.
I thought it was just a local, like it was just here.
Mm-hmm.
And then, for this past weekend being Juneteenth, and then how significant it is now that it's a federal holiday, but I'm not going to get into that because I could go on a whole different path about that, but
it doesn't feel genuine that what was behind it,
right?
But we'll take it.
And I just feel like when that happened, it really like changed, and then like now you see like our generation and the younger generation, they're really like, yeah, it's for like the culture. And I could see why you probably would be like, what happened like before y'all, like we were.
It's just going to be remembered as now. Whereas, for me, it was from my earliest experiences were in the 70s of Juneteenth.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I don't know. I just, like I said, I feel like with us, I was thinking about it as you were saying it, and it to me, it kind of makes sense. It's kind of like when artists do covers.
Mm-hmm.
When an artist does a cover of a song, and the person or the generation that song was originally for will get upset with the generation that covered it.
Yeah.
Because like one of my favorite Michael Jackson records is Dirty Diana, right?
Mm-hmm.
The Weeknd did a cover for it. And it doesn't have the same, it doesn't feel right, So I understand when people feel like, I understand where you're coming from, where you are like, you kind of just push us to the side because you want to do your own thing.
Well, no, that's putting words in my mouth.
But I'm just saying. That. No, I'm saying like, okay, that's my mistake. But you feel like our generation doesn't care, or?
Well, I don't want to put that on. I want to say I don't want to put it on your whole generation, but I mean, I'm just saying that in conversation, it feels like, your generation thinks like you run the world. And I think I have had that conversation with Russell in the past of, well, you do influence a lot of things, but you don't influence everything, but you influence a lot of things, yes.
Our generation...
You have a big impact. You're changing the world.
Has the big impact.
You're changing the world.
But I think that, and this is where I think, not where we kind of bump heads, but I feel like I'm saying that the whole culture, the black culture,
Yeah.
is the pulse of the world. Because I mean,
I agree.
as Killmonger said in Black Panther,
So, but that's not an age thing.
No,
that's
it's
a
culture.
yes.
Yeah, and like he said, didn't life start in Africa, which we all know is true. You know, life started in Africa. A lot of things originated in Africa. So I feel like we are connected to everything. Anything that happens in this world, there's a root that goes back to Africa. So that's why, like, when I think of the word culture, I kind of cringe at it sometimes because people don't know the roots that it gets to, like, where we all kind of come from, and some people don't want to accept that one big concept that life started in Africa.
It's such an intermingling of the word because you could say hip hop culture, right? And hip hop culture doesn't have to just pertain to black people, right? I mean, you got everybody can be a part of hip hop culture. I mean, white folks, Asian, Latino. Excuse me. Isn't every what? Why are you're saying no to that?
Yeah,
what?
Because yes and no. Because when you think about it, like, for example, like, a lot of people feel like Elvis, for example, Elvis was someone that came into the culture and stole and profited off of what he learned from black people.
I'm with you. I have a thing about Elvis, so I'm
But no,
I'm following you. I want you to keep on with that.
So when people can be in the culture, like white people can be in the culture, Asians can be in there and all this, but are you genuinely in there?
That is possible. Do you disagree? I mean, maybe some are not genuinely, but it's possible that some are genuinely.
It's possible, and not say that I'm like the police, like the culture police were like, hey, like, you can't, but it's like, I can sense when someone is not genuine about it, when you're just doing it just because, or you're doing it to, like.
So what does it mean for somebody to be a part of, are we talking hip hop culture, right? That's what we're talking. What does it mean for somebody to be a part of hip hop culture, genuinely or not, and not genuinely?
Well, I can speak on the non-genuine.
Yeah.
Because
what does that mean? Like, what does that look like, I should say? What does it look like?
Overly aggressive. Aggressive. I remember when I was working at this one place, and this white kid who was there was very like, what up, dog? What up, bro?
Oh, yeah.
And it's too aggressive. Like, we're not aggressive.
Yeah.
We're not. Everything is it's like water. It flows.
You know who I want to ask you about is because I know nothing about this guy. I just know the how I felt watching it. I didn't know who Gary Owens was until this weekend. Okay, I did not know him, and I'm looking at a stand-up of him, which is probably a few years old. Okay. And I was not feeling that man. I was not feeling him. I did laugh at some of the stuff he was saying. I was laughing. He's somebody that I do not feel genuine. I don't get that genuine feeling about him. I understand isn't he separated from his wife now?
He's separated now.
And but I'm like, I was having mixed feelings because some of his jokes I was laughing at, but I was like, nah, man,
It's kind of like, I can understand. See, with you, I can understand why you would probably feel that way because, like, it might be for you like what it was for me. It was overly aggressive when I seen that coworker that was like, "Yo, what up, dog?" This and that, and then you hear Gary Owens, and to me, he's not over aggressive with it, but it's like
he's appropriating. Is that the right word?
yeah, like I feel like he's
is
trying to.
He's taking it. He's taking it. I mean, it's fine. I don't even. It's fine to do that. I think it's fine. You know, you met a black woman, y'all fell in love. That's all fine and wonderful. You enjoy the black culture, the black community. That's all fine and wonderful. But his whole demeanor that I saw was this man is acting black. And some of this stuff, like I said, I was laughing at. I thought it was funny, but at the same time, I was like, "You're making me uncomfortable."
Now, this is where, or this is how and why sometimes it gets tricky for me because there's certain white people that have been raised in that's all they know is the black community,
which is good. That's fine.
Right.
That's fine.
But then it's like,
don't put it on like a coat. That's what he did. That's what I feel. What do you think of him? Just so I can know.
I mean, I think he's funny from time to time. I think for me, I think him kind of like being like, okay, I'm this white guy that's married to or was married to this black woman, and he just openly just be like, yeah, I'm white, and I'm just.
Well, that's cool.
You know,
I like that.
But then I
like that.
Him joking about him being married to a black woman
that's cool. I like it.
Yeah.
But I mean, when I'm looking at his stand up, it's like he's talking like he's black. I mean, like his voice was black. He was, and I
think that might be just part of his
character.
Of the character.
Okay.
Because if you ever watch,
okay, all right,
like an interview of his,
he's not like that.
It's not really the same.
Okay.
You
so
know,
like I said, I'm ignorant. I don't know the man. I don't know the man. All right.
He would jokingly like do it, but when he really starts talking,
he's a regular guy.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. All right. Well, I'm gonna have to go look at some YouTube.
I mean, I wouldn't tell you to go watch like him probably on the Breakfast Club because you know how they get on Breakfast Club.
Nah, you know I gotta go watch him on the Breakfast Club. You told me he's on there.
You know, the one I'm gonna tell you. Okay, so if you do it, the one that's gonna probably pop up as the number one is when he dressed up like 6ix9ine.
Okay.
He dressed up. He had the rainbow hair with the tattoos on his face. Like
But I'll look at that one not first. Though.
No, don't look at that one first. That'd be like probably third one in there.
Okay.
He was making fun of 6ix9ine because it was around the same time that 6ix9ine did his interview.
Okay.
On there, so he was doing a parody of it.
Okay.
You know, so that was that. But,
all right.
But no, like I just feel like with that overly aggressiveness, that's what cringes for me. That's what makes me be like you're trying too much.
Okay.
You know, and then
I don't know.
What makes, I mean, to go back to the question of like what is like with the hip hop and everything like that, it's just being authentic.
Yeah.
You know, just being authentic.
And you could be any color with that.
Yeah, but it's something about it. Like I remember, and this goes to a actual Amazon. It's not an Amazon documentary, but it's on Amazon Prime. It's called Rumble, and I watched it for my race, sex, and gender class in the media, and it opened my eyes to a lot because it's basically saying like the music that that Native Americans made. And when you think about it, like the rock that Native Americans, and it's like, and my professor said it, like he was like, who do you think made rock? And everybody was just like, white people. Like it's that. But when this documentary kind of goes to the roots of everything, and it was actually one of the producers was a student from Buff State. So
wait, who made rock?
Yeah, it's called Rumble.
Uh-huh.
The music that rock the world.
Oh, rock and roll.
Yes.
Rock and roll.
Yes.
Okay.
So when they started describing about it and talking about it, it really goes to the roots of Native Americans and Black people. Mm-hmm. And then it kind of just, the Elvises came in and kind of, like that's like stole it and made it to what it is. But when you look at like the roots of it, this goes back to my feeling of people not understanding or being misguided or not knowing the core, like the background and the roots of where things come from.
Well, yeah. I'm with you. I'm totally with you. I don't know. I think when it comes to music sometimes, what is a person supposed to do if they have that in them? If they have that sound or that kind of music in them, what are they supposed to hide that?
No. So this goes to another topic. This goes to another artist that me and Assad kind of bump heads with from time to time, and that's Justin Timberlake. Because I'm a big Justin fan.
Okay.
But when Justin was even in sync, I was like, Justin has Black in him, and I'm like, because if you look at even when he said he's like, I'm from Memphis, Tennessee. Yeah. Tennessee is the home of blues.
Right.
He's like
same with Elvis.
He's like, so I'm rooted in that, That's
same with Elvis. Same with Elvis had more Black in him than Justin.
I can't answer that.
I can't. Elvis for sure.
I can't
had
answer
more
that
Black
because
in him than Justin Timberlake.
But then I also Elvis is a creep to me. I'm sorry.
Really?
Elvis married like a 13-year-old.
Well, he did. He definitely did.
So it's like I can't.
Unfortunately, that used to be acceptable. But yes, you are totally right.
So
you are totally right.
I just feel like with Justin, I was very like the soul was there, and maybe it's because I really didn't hear a lot of Elvis records, so I didn't really, I just know the typical Elvis hits that's out,
Look at I don't know why I'm blanking on her name. England, she lost all the weight.
Adele?
Got Adele. Look at Adele. Come on. Amy Winehouse. Come on. I don't even see color when I look at Amy Winehouse.
I don't either. Either. And I'm very upset that she's no longer here.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I get it. As a matter of fact, there was the one thing that broke out, I think it was a couple years back, where nobody knew the artist that sung that song, What You Won't Do for Love.
Mm-hmm. Bobby Caldwell. Could not believe it. Yes, because I was a teenager. Could not believe
and no one knew
that he was not Black.
Yeah.
Couldn't believe it.
So I get where a lot of people say like, you don't see that because like even when you hear,
I gotta give it to you for even knowing the song and the man. Oh my God.
Well, because like I remember the song, but then the reason why it really stuck because as I go back to people doing covers, Tupac did a cover of that.
He did?
Yeah.
Are you serious?
It's called Do for Love.
Oh, I gotta go listen to that.
And the hook is the hook to the song.
Yeah.
So, it's that, but
yeah, that used to get me because obviously I'm not a hip hop person, but that used to get me, with the songs like when Snoop first came out and all of those songs that I didn't even want to know what the words were because I felt they were degrading to women. But I felt like that's how they get you because they're trying, they're pulling, those samples.
It's the samples, it's the covers.
That's how they get you.
This goes back to what I was. This goes back to my thing about how it's just what we're doing is we're doing a cover of what you guys did in the past, and which has adding our little
yeah.
flavor or whatever you want to call it to it.
So the culture, this is it. You know, my thoughts just keep moving. Yeah. I feel like it should be more like the mindset of for the culture should be inclusive of,
Yes.
you know, all ages. Because even you go back to not the beginning of hip hop, but if you go back to, you know, Dr. Dre and Snoop and all of that, I mean, how old are they now? You know? So they're not your age.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So they're a part of the culture. That's why, right? They're a part of the hip hop culture, right? So hip hop culture is not just 25 to 35 or, you know.
It's not. It's not because
Yeah.
I just think that though as we grow, and I also feel like because like my generation, a lot happened in that time that shifted the world.
In
You
which
know.
time?
Like during the I don't want to call it the peak of my time because I feel like right now is where like being in your 30s is like your peak, but
Being in your 30s is your peak.
it's like your prime.
You're in your prime in your 30s?
Yeah.
Really? So is life over when you turn 40?
No.
But
I'm
you're
just
not
saying.
in your prime anymore.
No.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, let's think about it. Let's think about it.
Wow.
Prime is between, in my opinion. In my opinion, being in your prime is like from the age 28 to probably about 35, 36.
Wow.
I also think about it in sports terms too. Like they say, like the
Well, as an
basketball.
athlete, I could see a person saying that.
Yeah.
But, you know, just in regular life, Nah.
That's me. I
No.
think that. It may change.
I hope you change your mind because there's a lot there's just a lot waiting for you.
Mm-hmm. No, I'm not saying
as you move from your
Right,
30s
right.
into your 40s
Right.
and beyond. There's a lot waiting for you there. So
I
I just
mean,
hope
we
that you
was-
change your mind about that.
I would say once I get past that, it's more of being
You can relax.
being relaxed, but being like, because I'm looking and thinking about like athlete wise. So
I totally get it.
so I'm
athlete-wise.
thinking like you look at Vince Carter
Yeah.
and how Vince Carter was during his prime. He was Vinsanity, but then when he got past that, he was still one of the greats, but he just changed.
Yeah.
He just
Yeah.
evolved and he, adapted to his surroundings and just became more.
But you were talking
Versatile.
prime for, I got you. So he had a prime for his basketball career,
Mm-hmm.
and then he stayed past his prime because he could, because he still, was producing and talented and all of that.
Mm-hmm.
But the man had no transition. I mean, when I say like he needed no transition to become an analyst, and his comfort,
Right.
on the screen at the microphone, I'm like, because we can look at everybody else and we can see their adjustments. He's such a good example. We can see their adjustments. He's perfect. He is perfect on TV. No transition.
Right.
So this is he's got a whole new world. Just like Kobe did. A whole new world opened up. Life's not over.
Yeah.
So he didn't even get to his prime. Kobe didn't get to his prime yet. In all that it was like he was a baby.
Right.
So-
It'll be different stages. Let me say
Yeah.
that.
No,
So,
but I
like,
get you. I'm just giving you a hard time. I'm sorry.
It'll be different stages. So prime Kobe basketball, then after post, obviously he's unfortunately not able to get to where
Yeah.
we've seen he was going to get to, and that's what I think with Vince Carter. Like we see Vince Carter
Yeah.
now, he's smooth transition, same with other people as well.
I'm just fighting for, to say, hey, we're still here. That's all. I'm just fighting. I'm just fighting because, we're still here. We still matter. We're still living.
And we're not pushing y'all away.
Yeah, even your whole demeanor when you say, we're not pushing y'all away. Like, what?
We're not, though. Like, I'm not pushing y'all away. I'm not pushing. I look at a lot of people, because I look at, like, wisdom comes there. Mm-hmm. We learn from y'all. Well, how else are we going to learn how to navigate in this world?
Yeah.
That's why there's the term, and you probably might not agree, but that's where the term OG come from. Uh-huh. Because I look at my Uncle Al.
Yeah.
And my Uncle Musa as like my OGs.
Yeah,
like those are
sure.
the ones that
For
I
sure.
will go to and be like, hey, I need, this or that or things like that. Like, and then like people refer to me as like a young OG because I'm 35, but I'm not old.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
yeah.
And then like I feel like, black women, we just get all the wisdom from y'all. It's not even it's nothing like y'all are the mothers of the world. So.
Yeah. I just want to still have fun too. That's all.
You know what? This would have been, not say that this wasn't a good conversation because it really was, but if we just had like one other person around this area from Virginia right now.
Yes, you have to do a part 2.
So,
this has been great. Thank you for indulging me. I really, really appreciate it.
No problem.
So there's more for us to talk about along these lines.
Of course. And then we go, and we can probably bring more people along, and because this is, as I said, a multi-layer,
multicultural in some ways.
Yes. Yeah. Conversation.
Yeah.
So we can definitely continue this. I think this should be a series.
I do too. I really do too. I do too, because I can see some people being like just thinking about the Latino culture. I can see, some people being uncomfortable. Like what?
Yeah.
We have a whole culture over here, and we're connected.
Yes. And,
there's Asian culture. There's just, let's do a series, like you said.
We will. That we will.
Oh, man. Thank you, Charles.
Thank you.